K-6 schools aren't just smaller versions of high schools. They're fundamentally different environments with younger students, possibly less experienced staff that look nothing like the events that we plan for at the secondary or college level. Now today we're going to be focusing only on K-6. We'll talk about why emergency response here is unique, how police, fire, and EMS actually get involved, and what technology can help without overwhelming the people responsible for very young kids. That's coming up next on TiPS, Today in Public Safety.
Welcome to TiPS, Today in Public Safety, your go-to podcast for today's breaking stories and public safety news. Here's your host, Fletch, with today's tips.
Welcome to TiPS, Today in Public Safety. This is Fletch. I'm a NENA certified ENP, and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I take on the real-world challenges that face emergency communications and public safety. Now, today's episode is intentionally narrow. We're not going to lump all the schools together, and we're not saying K-12 and calling it a day. Because if you ever walked into a K-6 school, especially during an emergency, you know immediately this is a different animal. Why K-6 is its own emergency category. When you think about it, K-6 environments are defined by dependence. Students may not always self-evacuate reliably. They may become scared and not always self-identify accurately. And they may be unable to follow complex instructions, especially under stress. When we look at staff, they're likely younger, less experienced to emergency response, and they may be trying to manage 20 to 30 children by themselves. When we look at facilities, they may have unique security posture in that they may contain uncontrolled access points. And drop-off and pickup chaos? Well, that's built into the school day. And then compare that to 7 to 12, where students can better self-report, self-evacuate, and likely communicate. And for higher ed, this is where you're more likely to have adults capable of making independent decisions, as well as the ability to self-shelter with minimal direction. When you look at K-6, every emergency becomes a supervision problem first and a response problem second. And that distinction is what drives most everything else. The most common K-6 emergency events and why first responders get called in the first place. Okay, let's ground this in some reality. The most common K-6 events that trigger police, fire, or EMS are not mass casualty incidents. Historically, they're medical emergencies like asthma, seizures, and allergic reactions. Others are behavioral escalations. Then you've got unauthorized adults on campus with potentially custody disputes, as well as the missing or unaccounted for students. And at the bottom of the list are fire alarms and environmental hazards. When we look at the reasons why responders are needed, at the top of the list is staff can't leave the children unattended to go investigate a problem. Medical responses must be fast and precise. Situational awareness inside the building is limited, and accountability or attendance is manual and very slow under stress. For first responders, the challenge isn't access, it's information. What police, fire, and EMS actually need in a K-6 response. First of all, responders don't need more dashboards to deal with. They need confidence. They need good current data upon arrival, because good data that's current is much data than more data that's less accurate coming in with the call. When responders arrive on scene, the information that they need is who called and from where, what triggered the event, how many children are involved, where everyone is right now. They need to identify the responsible supervisors and understand what's already been done. Unfortunately, today in K-6 emergencies, responders often arrive to things like incomplete information, panicked adults, conflicting report information, and groups of children that are not able to explain what's happening. So the faster we stabilize information flow, the faster responders can stabilize the scene. Adding security monitoring without adding complexity. security monitoring in K-6 must follow one rule. It cannot become another thing that teachers must manage during a crisis. This is where cameras and AI can help discreetly and quietly in the background. They can effectively be used to perform automated tasks like the detection of unusual movement or crowding, visual confirmation for administrators and responders. Post-event, the information is useful to reconstruct the incident without burdening staff, and they can reduce radio and phone chatter during chaos. So AI is not replacing humans here. It's just reducing the number of decisions that humans must make under stress. Teachers' smart devices as a safety multiplier. Most teachers are already carrying smart devices, but the mistake made in the past is turning them into panic buttons only. In a K-6 environment, smart devices should enable things like one-touch escalation that actually shares context, not just an active alarm condition. Enable peer-to-peer staff communication inside the building. Deliver controlled on-demand connectivity between staff and first responders through specialized gateway technology. And deliver silent status updates that doesn't pull attention from students. The key word here is collaboration and not command. Teachers shouldn't feel like they're calling 911. They should be feeling like they're bringing help into the room when needed. Supporting very young students during critical events. This is where K-6 breaks every generic emergency model. During an incident, children need reassurance. The instructions they get must be simple. Movements that they make most likely need to be guided. And most importantly, accountability and attendance must be constant. The technology needs to provide support for things like assisted attendance checks tied to physical locations, real-time awareness and management of which student is with which adult at any given time, and the establishment of clear handoff points during evacuations or sheltering. This isn't about surveillance. It's all about not losing a child during the chaos. Reunification, where most plans fall apart. Reunification can't be an afterthought in K-6. It has to be part of the emergency itself. An effective reunification process requires active student-to-location information, provide verified release authority, deliver parent notifications with clear instructions, manage controlled, documented handoffs, and provide visibility for both responders and administrators. When people try to do this manually, it fails under pressure, but when it's integrated, it restores order faster than anything else. Reality check. Most K-6 safety failures aren't technology failures. They're design failures because most people assume K-6 works like high school. They assume staff have responder-level training. They assume kids can self-manage during an emergency. And they assume that parents will just know what to do. Trust me, they won't. And neither will other systems that are built on those assumptions. The bottom line. The difference with K-6 emergency response is that it's about guided safety, not lockdown mythology. Solutions are specifically built for young students, less experienced staff, delivering information clarity, delivering information through quiet automation, and enabling a collaborative response. When this is done, everyone wins. The teachers stay focused on the kids. Responders arrive better informed. Parents start to regain trust in the system, and most importantly, children stay safe. And those are the standards that we should be holding ourselves to. That wraps up this episode of TiPS Today in Public Safety. In future episodes, we'll examine 7 to 12 environments, where autonomy and peer dynamics start to change everything, as well as the higher education space, where scale, independence, and liability start to rewrite the playbook once again. but none of that works if we don't get K-6 right the first time. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you learned something new. Remember to follow me on social media at Fletch911. Check out my full archive of 911 Tips episodes at 911tips.com, and my full blog series is available on Fletch.tv. My professional website is Fletch911.com, and if you're in public safety, thanks for what you do every single day. This is Fletch. Stay safe. We'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to TiPS, Today in Public Safety, your go-to podcast for today's breaking stories and public safety news. Hosted by Fletch and available every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Catch past episodes on 911tips.com. Be sure to like and subscribe, and remember to join us each week for the latest on NG 911. I am Spider Harrison, the official 911 voiceover dude. Catch me on Sirius XM on various channels, including 90s on 9, the 10 spot, and on the Weekend Countdown on Hits 1. Or don't regret it for the rest of your life. Either way, I'm good.